Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is attorney Matthew Timpanic here with your Live at 5. So, what actually happened today? I definitely think it was um, an interesting day, and here's why. First and foremost, it wasn't just Shannon Burgess as the what you'll read online because it was a little bit more than that. They had DNA experts. The DNA experts been like, okay, the DNA on the, I think it was near the tail light, John O'Keefe couldn't be excluded. It was something like 30 zeros. I don't even know the word. I couldn't even tell you what the word. So it's clear that it's his DNA. I saw people talking about how, oh, it could be his nephew's. That really? That's just ridiculous. Like you can't get there. It's like, okay, how did his nephew's DNA get there? Was it taken? Did he get hit by it? And then you're just off on it's not even an imaginary doubt. That would be an insult to the idea of imaginary doubts. In reality, it is a laughable doubt to even go there. And I didn't understand Alan Jackson trying to do that because it seems so desperate. Like you don't need to do that. It just if you don't have any relevant questions, don't ask it. You don't need to, and try to say, well, it could be that like don't ask ridiculous questions that are so reaching, so like no, that's not going to play. And you were just reading that, and then it comes. You hear all the DNA experts are like, okay, all right, it's pretty clear it's his DNA is there and its hair is there. So you're thinking to yourself, it's like, all right, is it possible that so the hair's there? It's like I saw people, well, it could have ended up there. Then a relationship for 2 years. DNA touch DNA, okay, maybe, but hair, stop. That hair was there because very likely Officer O'Keefe was struck by the vehicle and the hair went onto the vehicle. And be like, how did it stay on there? It's like, are you guys not from Massachusetts? Like, is that like most of you probably aren't if you don't know that because with it being a blizzard, and in the blizzard, it has to be freezing temperatures. So it's pretty reasonable to assume that that hair froze to the vehicle because it was so cold, and it was able to travel because it was frozen to the vehicle. It's not just some outlandish thing. And then the other idea is the other alternative. It was planted by whom? How did he get the hair? Did he go rip it off his body? Come on. Like this is ridiculous. Like stop with this nonsense ideas. Um, and then it's like, well, what he could have done is he could have got it like from the nephew. It's like, no, he didn't. It's why is it's not that difficult. The most reasonable conclusion is unfortunately sometimes the hardest for some of these people to understand. It's not something outlandish. We're not talking speculative. We're not talking conspiracies, conjecture. We're just talking in reasonable, logical, common sense. So that's what takes me to, I think, Shannon Burgess. When I hear, so this was something that didn't happen in the first trial. There wasn't this evidence in the first trial that the jury considered. And hearing the phone evidence with the vehicle and how they sunk together, they were in sync. And you're looking at I think I posted on Twitter, the picture of where the vehicle was and where the phone was. And they're almost perfectly together. And you're like, okay, well, if they're there, how is he inside the house? He's not. That's where he was struck by the vehicle, very likely. And that's what the accident reconstructionist is going to say. And it's down to the second. That's what's key. It's given the timelines. Oh, they keep changing. It's like, no, that this data was not pulled in the first trial. The person missed it, but this guy was able to find it. And that's what you want. Don't you want to have more evidence to be able to make a more accurate depiction? And that's what the jury is going to be looking at. It's like, wow, this is pretty compelling because it has like longitude and latitude where they were, and it follows the track from Waterfall to 34 Fairview down to the second, how fast they were driving. And that's really the evidence that was needed in the first case. Like, how do you put You have the DNA, the DNA in the hair, which prevented the acquittal in the first trial. Now you have the evidence of actually the vehicle and Officer O'Keefe together when they shouldn't be. When we know that it's the defendant's contention that he got out and walked into the house and this, that, and the end, and she left. Okay, we'll play that. We'll allow that as long um, as the judge will indulge it. Will Alassi get another 3? Oh my God, I can't do another 3 more hours of Alassi. So we're going to get into the cross. He made decent points about the LinkedIn page. It's like, you're not this, and that's what he's supposed to do. And then, but then it, as always, Attorney Lassie, like clockwork, time is a flat circle. It then goes into the irrelevant and the erroneous. Oh, did you read Expert X's report? No. And it's like, oh, this person said this. And there's like, we're going to do this again. And that was my biggest problem with Attorney so far, his cross, is it's the same thing every time. He starts to make the points he's supposed to, and then he has an opportunity to sit down with a full effect of his cross-examination. He hasn't, to this point, haven't even challenged the findings of the report. If you're not challenging the findings, you're essentially saying, it's like, we can't really challenge digital forensics. So all the points they were making about his inexperience or his education level are moot, because it's like anybody can read off that. The way it was presented, anybody can look at that on the jury and be like, let's check the longitude and latitude and make sure it matches up. And I'm sure it will. And that's kind of the point, is they can't really argue the digital forensics. They can't argue the science. They're arguing the conjecture and the reaching and trying to go into the theme. So their theme has evolved. It's no longer a third-party culprit. I would be stunned if they try to bring it up in their defense case, because the jury's just going to look at them like, where is this coming from? Their defense now has evolved, quote unquote, evolved to now like this was a laughable investigation, laughable prosecution. That's what they're trying to do. The only problem with that is that the data and the science contradict that theory. So when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, so what is the defense now? And it's okay not to have them, because in every criminal case, there isn't one. And sometimes when a client's paid this much money and they want a trial, they get a trial. And sometimes you don't have the best case to try. Dramatic pauses. Yes, it is. I think Attorney Alassi has watched too many episodes of The Practice, waiting for the dramatic music to play, or Law and Order or something like that, when it's just people coughing and people yawning and a fan spinning. That's the only sound. So there isn't dramatic music playing. They are saying he can't be believed because he lied about his degree. He didn't lie about his degree. It's just not updated. Like, his LinkedIn page is not like updated. The defendant's own LinkedIn page, I saw this online, still has her as an adjunct faculty at Bentley. I don't think that's accurate anymore. So if they try to do that, it'd be a situation where I don't know if the defendant wants to go down that road that far, because it's like pinning your hopes to a phone bill. You want to do a LinkedIn page or something like that. It's like, no, take it. Take it and like challenge his findings, and legitimately, where does he go wrong? Talk about the variance. That's where that cross should be going. That's where, but I don't know if it gets there. And if it doesn't get there, Hank Brennan's easily going to be able to literally go back up on the stand and argue, like redirect, and like just talk about the science, the facts, the digital forensics, because it's that simple. And that's definitely what they're planning on doing with a redirect, because it's pretty clear. Because I think somebody caught it on Twitter, was like, yeah, he didn't mention his education. It's possible that Hank Brennan knew about this and wasn't caught off guard with this whole idea. But the findings are, it's like, this is what the vehicle is saying. It's like, can't really manipulate this. Isn't it relevant to the CV he submitted with his report? it would be just a situation where they're asking him, and it's like, I was like, okay, all right, I get what you're saying, maybe presented, but it's just he's not being called upon to be an accident reconstruction. He isn't offered to give an opinion about what happened. He's doing is interpreting the digital forensics from the car and from the phone, which he's been able to do, and do so in a very layman's term, and it's very easy for the jury to understand. Um, and this is just the problem with Attorney Alassi versus Hank Brennan situation. Alan Jackson kind of has figured out how to deal with Hank Brennan. Attorney Alassi is just never going to, because he just keeps opening all of these irrelevant ideas on cross. Like, keep your cross to the point. That's what you need to do. You need to make your points and sit down. He doesn't do that. He just thinks that everything's in a, yeah, like people saying Perry Mason, haha, got you. It's like, no, you're all you're doing is you just inflicted minimal damage on this situation. So you don't really need to disclose a bachelor's degree. Probably not. If you have the requisite experience, like in saying that, does it look great that the company had it on and has a degree from this place when he doesn't? No, but that's more on them than on him. So it definitely is a situation where you're watching the testimony like, okay, can I believe what they're saying? If he's accident reconstruction and he doesn't have all these things, that'd been probably more of a problem. But to be an expert, he's got the requisite like experience and what he's been through and everything, and how he was able to lay it out. I think the jury's gonna be like, I see your point, but I can't really ignore what the digital forensics are saying in this case. And that's the whole theme, is that to be able to come to the conclusion, you kind of have to almost disregard what the facts and evidence are saying. Um, and that's and so when I saw, I had to stop. Just I didn't even engage some of the people, because it's like, oh, it's the nephew. When I heard people actually legitimately think it was the nephew, I'm like, I just can't do this. It's like I got out of court this morning, and then I had to go to court in the afternoon. Just got out of that after 3 hours. So I'm looking like, no, I'm not engaging with this. This is beyond nonsense. Some of these takes, and it's like, oh, how do you know? I was like, I wouldn't want to hire him. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. So when you're, and this kind of is like the theme of trial strategy and trial advocacy. You do not want to ruin your credibility with the jury if you're the defense attorney. And Alan Jackson definitely looked like a moron today. With the nephew arguing that, it's like, could it be? Don't do that. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? It's a maternal situation, so it's like, come on, like, don't do that. What degree does Richard Green have? I hopefully, if the defense is smart, they're not going to call Richard Green, because you literally called the Commonwealth called Celebrite, and Richard Green. I just had this image of Attorney Brennan putting on his mugshot from when he was arrested and being like, "So what were you charged for? What exactly?" And yeah, I'm sorry, I have to laugh at this one. Matt's an attorney, all right? Why isn't he shouting at Alassi style? Because it's just not effective. I almost was going to yell, but I decided I don't want to yell at my audience. It's just yelling at a jury is not yelling at a witness is not effective. This is not the 80s or the 90s. That Sam Waterson is not being able to rip somebody apart, or Dylan McDermott. It doesn't work that way. Juries don't lie unless a witness is coming off so like blatantly lying, and it's usually like Amber Heard. That was kind of an exception. That's a situation where the jury just wanted that Camille, whatever her name was, to rip apart Amber Heard. Those are very few and far between. This witness is not going to be somebody you're going to be able to yell at him. It's not, you can't handle the truth. It's like, no, you guys are grasping at straws. Talk about the findings. That's where the reasonable doubt is, not his LinkedIn page. I'll thank you for reading my question. Great coverage. It was snark. It was incredibly, the whole thing is, It wasn't very good. Um, it really, it's not a situation where when you're yelling or arguing with a witness, it just doesn't play well. And I really don't know how much Attorney Alassi has experience crossing, because it feels, but that's kind of a microcosm of the whole defense. It's You have Alan Jackson, Yannetti, and Attorney Alassi, and they're all in their 50s, 60s, and they're from a whole different generation of attorneys. Um, it is a situation where that's how they were brought up. Oh my God. It's a situation. I don't know if Attorney Alassi is a criminal attorney. I really don't. You're just jealous, Matt. You wish you had. Oh, I do want to. I sometimes want to engage, but it's just some of the stuff is so laughable that you can't even. I can't even take it seriously um, when hearing about it. But yeah, he's an appellate attorney, and that's kind of he's got knowledge. He's got knowledge about like expert witnesses, and he starts off well. He asks questions, but I think that what he doesn't really know is how to actually get like kind of figure out what he should be asking next. That he has a set of questions that I would prepare ahead of time, but he's not really prepared for the questions that Hank Brennan's going to ask on direct, so he doesn't really know what actually to ask during cross. So it is. Um, it is like a science. Being a trial attorney is just not for everybody. It's not something you can just pick up overnight. It takes years and actually reading a jury. Ambush right now from the legal point. Trial by ambush. Oh my God. The defendant needs to understand that her own attorneys literally violated every single discovery deadline, and then they're literally getting their findings a month into trial. Um, and it it's like you can't really do an ambush. Like if you're doing it first, you can't you can't really do that to them. So hard to find my own bias. Was Lassie's cross actually effective? He like touched everything, but the actual data just felt that. Yeah, so that was the real problem with that cross examination. It's about the data. Cross examine the data, and if he doesn't, by the time he sits down, Hank Brennan's going to ask maybe a couple of redirect questions, because if he doesn't, that's just their jury's just going to accept it as fact. They're going to be like, well, it's like, yeah, you made your points about the LinkedIn, but how do we ignore all of this? And they're just not going to be able to. Um, they're not going to be able to set that aside. They're going to look at it and be like, oh, wow. Because when you hear, and this is very important during a criminal case, when there is kind of bombshell testimony, devastating testimony, the jury starts to look at the defendant. And they're looking, it's like, is this person capable of doing that, especially in a murder trial? And when you're looking at it, it's like his phone's right there, her car's right there, the DNA's there, the hair's there. Like, what would I be doing? I would be essentially being like, I don't care about any of that. I'm just not finding her guilty because of reasons that I'm not going to say, that I made up my mind before the case. So what does it have here? A whine about the witness writing a supplemental report. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. It is. It's Attorney Alassi last week was at the height of hypocrisy. It was pretty hysterical seeing him as like, but the discovery violations, the judge looking, and I'm like, really? That's the actual argument you want to go with? And it's like, well, I'm not going to find that it was an unfair and uh, unfair burden on the defense. And it's just like, oh my God, Judge Bev is in on it. It's like, oh my God, like really? And now the new thing is the Chiefs in on it too. They added a new player who I'm sure is going to be shocked to find out he's part of this conspiracy and cover up. So it's just appreciate the hug. Yep. I thank you so much. Yeah, no, I was able, oh, just to let you know, yeah, I was able to hold my niece for the first time last week. It was really nice. It was tough. Like the week before, I was kind of sick, as some of you heard during the show a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I was able to hold her, and my wife was. So it was a pretty special moment. So now my mom has two granddaughters. She has three boys, but now 2 granddaughters, which she's ecstatic about. Yeah, I think Alassi had a superior complex because he does have a. It's just what I can tell you. Yeah, the chief passed away, so he can't defend himself. I know it is just it's every single day. It's just a new thing, and it's like here I'm like giving a roadmap. I'm like, this is where the questions are going to be. I know. Yeah, exactly. Blame the dead guy. And that's just how ridiculous it is. It's like, how are you going to what is he going to say? What is this actually being offered to prove? It's not being offered to prove anything. You're just throwing stuff against the wall. Um, the defense is basically accepting the lace that drove in reverse and hit something, but it was 30 seconds before John's. And the variance is 21 to 29 seconds. So if it was 30 seconds, it's pretty darn close. If they're saying it was 30 seconds, I'm just waiting for them to say that she hit the mailbox. That's what it was. She hit a mailbox. I can't even respond to that one. It does. Yeah, bringing the deceased chief into it is I don't get the thinking. They're just trying to make it too many. Yeah, okay, that's better because I was like, I can't answer this one. How is Hank gonna clean this up? It's gonna just be let's talk about the digital forensics some more and talk about all the other times you testified in court in these cases. And it's like people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, how did everybody miss this?" Like they didn't miss it. um, but why do we have PhD experts communicating by signal? Who's smarter? It's so I don't know. Unfortunately, with this case, is it's just gotten to the point where they don't know what the defense is anymore. I said from the beginning, hammer the investigation, reasonable doubt, try to go there, expert witnesses. But unfortunately, after the first trial, well, during the first trial, I say the documentary just it's killing her. Even the guy with the bow tie who's looking for attention, but I think he was a free Karen Reed person in the first trial, has kind of flipped seeing the documentary. It's like, do you see what she's saying? It's like, do you disagree, or is she like not telling the truth? What do you think of lawyers saying this is a dream cross? Oh my god. Yeah, I know the attorney who said I saw that on Twitter too. Dream cross. It's like that's somebody who really doesn't try that many cases and really doesn't know exactly what a dream cross is. A dream cross is actually being able to get your points across, not just using somebody's LinkedIn page to or expert witnesses of another person to actually. It is. It's beyond ridiculous. A dream cross is probably what you're going to see with, if I were to guess, when Hank Brennan does the ARCA witnesses. I have a feeling it's not going to be good, especially considering you're hearing exactly this digital forensics. What do you say? I can't wait to hear what the ARCA witnesses and Richard Green and the dog bite lady are going to argue. I'm like, I'm keeping an open mind because that's what it is. Most of these individuals who are arguing, oh, reasonable doubt. It's like reasonable doubt cannot be ascertained until you hear all the evidence. And if they got it, that's going to be a consideration. But I have a feeling that a lot of it's not going to be based in reality. Worst F, yeah, worst sex fan. I'm like, that's how you know that individual hasn't tried any cases. Oh my god, yeah, I can't get over it sometimes when I see some of the stuff. I just have to keep scrolling. When I'm like, I got to get back to my actual clients. Apologies. It is. It's almost too funny seeing like the people doing it for the clicks and the cash. And I can't even imagine some of the YouTube people say, "Oh my god, this is embarrassing," and then the fake like being upset about it. It is. Yeah, dramatic pause. It is. Forget the BS from the defense. Make it look like trying to distract them. That's kind of what I expect his redirect is going to be. It's be like they were just trying. They were trying misdirection. They were trying look the other way past the digital forensic evidence, and look at his LinkedIn page. Who said that? Well, I'm gonna keep that to myself. Who said that? But if you could probably find it online, who actually said some of those hyperboles. Um, yeah, I know a lot of people. These YouTubers are more than views. Yeah, I don't believe. Not many of the attorneys really do. I know some of them are just out there, and some of now the grifters, the people who have been on other cases who are going to remain nameless, who have just latched onto this case, and now it's like, oh God, really? Johnny Depp isn't on trial now. You can just go back to what you were doing before this. Um, and it's seeing some of the stuff. It was just pretty. It is pretty hilarious. Like, this is the worst expert. I'm like, how many trials have you done? 5? Like, seriously, are they like misdemeanors? Like, like, come on. Matt, what do you think of the defense will present at their case? Yeah, I think it's kind of in flux what their case is going to be. I think it's going to be, let's try to say it was an animal attack on his arms. Let's try to say that the Haas long to dying cold actually occurred at 2:27, using this convoluted way of just coming to whatever conclusion. But yes, I expect Hank Brennan's going to be like, "Is this you?" And he's going to be in the orange jumpsuit. Um, and when doing that, it's going to look even more silly than it does. And then followed by, here's what Arker's going to say. If I could give you an example, the GIF from It's Always Sunny, when he has all the things on the whiteboard, he's like, yeah, I'm doing this. That's kind of how I see the ARCA explanation going, because I don't know if they're necessary. Based on what I heard last week, it sounded like it's like, their findings are all over the place. They're not even in logic. So my witnesses need to take some time to review it and form our rebuttal. Will the judge let the defense do a third party or bode defense oh my God, at closing? There seems to be nothing they put down to prove. Yeah, I want to say that they've abandoned. If I were them, they got to abandon the third party culprit or the bode defense. I don't even know if the judge is going to allow that in. It's just ridiculous. But it could be a Sixth Amendment situation, and like not being able to present their defense. So who knows what will happen? But I can't honestly think they're going to continue with this third party defense. It just has no. I think they're just going to have to take their chances with their experts. That their experts saying animal attack, 2:27 search, and no, it wasn't a vehicle strike. It is. So that's what I meant by the heart emoji. Oh, okay. Will Richard Green be on the stand again? He was arrested for lying about a criminal case. If that's actually true, probably not, because Hank Brennan will just rip him alive, and then their defense looks even sillier. What else from today? I think this week is not going to be a particularly good week. I'll get to this. Would you call Proctor Alberts as the defense attorney? I think that's a risky proposition, because by calling them in their case, they can't cross. You can't call somebody simply to impeach him. You can't call Trooper Proctor and then immediately start ripping on him. You have to lay the foundation. This was kind of a really smart move by Special 88 Brennan, basically having Sergeant Urey take the wrath, because instead of having Proctor called and having him get ripped. So if the defense wants to call him, they can, but they can't call him simply to impeach him. They have to have a legitimate purpose. Otherwise, the testimony is going to get struck. So probably not. Why does the judge keep allowing the defense to recross the witnesses? I've never seen. So it's because the defense wants the last word on with everything. So you get a direct examination of the prosecution, and when it's your case, then a cross, and then a redirect, and then you get a recross. And then, but sometimes I've seen lately there is redirect, and then recross, and it's just like, somebody just sit down. And that's usually what Hank Brennan will do after a recross, be like, no, I don't have anything further, because he knows, alas, here Jackson need to have that last word in, and that's just not going to work. But I think I think my final thoughts is it's going to be a pretty tough week for the defense. The DNA, I think you're here accident reconstruction, and it's not. It's going to be a lot of based in scientific fact and a lot less conjecture. So I don't know if it's going to be that good of a week for the defendant. But I think with that, we're going to end that here. I'll see everybody on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Thank you.